Welcome, Empower Network TV, to Tip of the Spear with JR Spear, your weekly tips and strategies to win the battle. First of all, JR, welcome here. Thanks for being here.
I love it. Thank you for having me again.
My pleasure. You know, the goal of Empower Network is to empower people to go forward. So to connect them with people they need to connect them with thoughts and ideas or strategies they need to connect with so they can go and win. So today, in today's Tip of the Spear with JR Spear, you're going to be learning these three key takeaways, everyone. Number one, how to get started as a public speaker and make a lot of money from it without making the key mistakes that 99% of public speakers are making today. So stick around. You're going to be learning that, number one. Number two, how to bounce back from a severe financial loss so that within 4 months or less, you literally have more wealth than prior to your loss. And number three, how to successfully launch your six-figure business, which everyone wants, right? Every coach wants that. Literally starting from zero. This is a 90-day strategic battle plan to get you to your victory. So, JR, I'm pumped to be doing this with you. Let's jump right into this now. And before we get to the training, for those that don't know you yet, can you give us a bit of your story of who are you, where do you come from, and what are you about?
Yeah, I'll give you the quick overview about who I am, just because I can go on for an hour about what I do and where I come from. But grew up in a family-owned business, mainly in the fitness and martial arts space. And throughout that journey, started teaching when I was about 10 or 11 years old, and learned a lot over the years. And even traveling to a lot of different places across the U.S., being able to teach other business owners and school owners as a high schooler about how to lead group classes, and even going to different schools and teaching my peers about self-defense and awareness and all these different things. And then even leading other Marines and sailors in the military while I was active duty and deployed. And so my background when it comes to leadership and expertise of being able to do things, it comes from a big, wide, diverse background that ultimately led me to where I'm at today. When I got back from Iraq in 2007, I knew that I didn't want to go work for anyone. I was just getting out, fulfilled my contract in the military, and had some very traumatic events that took place while I was in the military as well. One was I survived a suicide bombing in Iraq in February 7, 2007. And it made me really look at and evaluate where I wanted to be for the rest of my life, because I was literally only standing feet away from this guy that blew himself up strapped to C4. And I was one of the closest people to him. And yet I walked away with very little external injuries. And so it made me really think, like, oh, God's got a bigger plan for me, and I got to figure out what that is. And so if he wanted to save me from this blast, I got to really follow through and figure out what it is and move forward. So I didn't want to go work for anyone. I didn't want to, I decided to get out of the military, and I was like, I want to be an entrepreneur. And I stuck to my roots of what I knew, which was teaching martial arts, teaching fitness. And so I moved back to St. Louis, Missouri, where I'm originally from. My mom, my sisters, and all my family is all there. And I started a martial arts school there. Did really well with it. And, after a few years, I built it up and then sold it. And then realized I wanted to not work with kids anymore and wanted to start an adult-only group fitness program. So I started PowerFit Bootcamp in a very short period of time, less than 3 years. I expanded that to 3 different cities. So I was all over the biggest group fitness in St. Louis, all over Illinois, South Carolina, and North Carolina. Did that for almost a decade. And then when we moved to the East Coast, where my wife was originally from, I knew I didn't want to be in the fitness space anymore. And I had a lot of opportunities to really help those in the wellness community over the years. I mean, after hiring 50 plus trainers to work for me and managers and things like that, I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. I wanted to coach, and more on the business side. I have a bachelor's degree in business, and I really learned a lot of skills when it came to, sales and marketing and leadership and how to actually run a business. And people kept asking me for help. And so just yesterday I had someone ask me, like, how did I fall into doing business coaching? And my answer was really simple. It's like, it kind of fell into my lap, and I wasn't something that I was seeking at first. It just was something that naturally people come to me and ask me for help in what I was doing. And then I would help them for free. And I'll never forget that a friend of mine, her name's Holly Reed, and she's in the network marketing space. And just a friend of mine from church, her husband is Scott Reed, and he was the worship leader at the church that I went to. And she wanted to start, she knew nothing about entrepreneurship, and kept, reached out to me saying, hey, can you teach me some stuff? Teach me about sales, marketing, communication, all these different things. And we would meet every week for a long time at your favorite place, Starbucks in St. Louis, and I would teach her different things. Well, the great thing about Holly is she was an implementer. I would teach her something, she went and did it. And then I would go, she would host an event and I would go to her event and then I critique her event. And then she kept improving. Very short period of time, she ended up making like top of the entire company, and she's traveling the entire world, speaking on these massive stages and making a huge impact. And so just from the small little things that I did with her. And so it was through those conversations and training where I sat down with her, where I evaluated myself, be like, hey, what do I want to do? And it fell into doing business coaching. And so in 2016, I started thinking about wanting to get into that. 2017, I launched my coaching business, and then I built an advertising agency at the same time, and I built a franchise at the same time for a publication, all around the same year, and was pretty busy. And now since 2016, I've helped, I think, close to 1,000 entrepreneurs worldwide start, scale, and grow their businesses, and especially in the online space. And it's been quite the journey, because I've gone through the good, bad, and ugly. And I've gone through financial debt, ruins, and I've gone through times where my marriage and family was being ruined, and from past mistakes that I've made. And it's really cool to see where I'm at today, and I'm constantly learning and growing myself.
Oh, thanks for giving us that context. And you have been through it, JR. And for those watching, let's get right to the heart of this. We want to know what's in it for us. So as a public speaker, because you've done this, as a public speaker, because you've run the gamut. You've hosted events, you've spoken, you've paid to speak, you've been paid to speak, you've spoken for free. Let's talk about the key mistakes public speakers are making so that you can cut their learning curve short. So if you are a public speaker, JR's got some secret nuggets here to tell you so that you can get where you want to go. So JR, let's just turn you loose with that. What do you got for us?
Yeah, well, the first thing that I want people to really understand is we all want the glory of saying, I want to be a paid speaker, and I'm only going to speak at an event if I'm going to be paid for it. And I'll tell you, I've done it all. Just like you said, I've been paid, a good amount of money. I've paid for speaking. I've done free things. And the reality is no one's going to pay you enough what you're worth. And you can always make way more on the back end. It all boils down to your offer. So do you have something to sell to be able to get people in? When you look at doing paid speaking opportunities, you always want to reverse engineer, but like, what is the reason for this? Why are we going to the event? If you want to go there just to get paid and get paid $5, $10, $20, $30, $50,000, hey, that's great. But that's all you're going to get from there. But if you're going there with a servant heart and saying, you know what, I want to serve these people and I want to help gain more credibility, gain more authority about who I am, and then have an appealing offer that I can give them in the back end to be able to sell. Well, now instead of that $5, $10, $20, $30,000 you got paid to speak, now you're actually got a pipeline of new leads of people that are excited, that already trust you because they just heard your amazing talk from that stage. So the biggest mistake where people make is like they only seek out paid opportunities. And I was that guy. I was that person saying, you know what? I'm too good for this. I'm not going to jump on any stage unless I'm being paid for it. And I'm going to miss those opportunities. And when I started doing that, I realized I didn't enjoy that as much. I didn't enjoy, because when you start doing paid speaking opportunities, yeah, it's nice that you can get that upfront cost and things like that. But I'm so confident in the products and offers that I deliver that I'm going to make way more, 10 times more than that they're ever even going to pay me, that I'd rather have the freedom and flexibility to go there, to network, to serve, and to do all these other things. Now, unless you're a big name like Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi or whoever, or, Russell Brunson, to be able to go sit on the stage, that makes sense. You don't have to market yourself. People are naturally going to come to you because you have a global name. But if you're someone that you're just getting your feet out there and you're not already doing $1 million a month inside of your business and public speaking, and you're just trying to get your name out there, finding paid speaking gigs is probably not going to be the strongest suit, but having a good, appealing offer of what you can do is going to be the best option where you can make the biggest bang for the bucks. Now, when it comes to events, you have to look at a couple of things. You got paid, where you can get paid to be at the event. You have events that you can go to and speak at for free. So like podcasting or chamber of commerce or more local type things. And then you have events that you can actually pay to speak. And, I'm a big fan of doing more the paid to speak type events, because for me, when I am paying to speak at an event, it's doing a few different things. It's not just showing my, or my support to the host of the event, say, hey, you know what? I trust you and I believe you. And I value this relationship with you, that I'm willing to invest in your event to come do this, because doing that, the relationship between you and the host is going to be way stronger and better, because they're like, man, this person believes in what I'm doing more, that they're willing to invest and pay in me to come to the event. So it does that. But they usually, there's a little bit more flexibility when it comes to the event as well. They give you more opportunities to network. They give you more opportunities to engage with the audience a lot better, versus having a lot of rules and restrictions. When you do a paid opportunity, sometimes there's rules and regulations saying you can do this and you can't do that. You got to stay in this lane, not that lane. Now, I never pitch from the stage. And because when I go up on a stage, it's always about delivering value, because if I deliver enough value, people are going to want to seek me out even more afterwards. Versus if they just feel like they're being sold to the whole time, then I lose a lot of opportunity. But looking for those opportunities where I can pay, I mean, gosh, this year alone, I think I was doing the math this morning. I think I spent more than $25,000 this year in 2023, just speaking on different stages across the country. But my ROI on that is like, I think was probably 4 or 5 times greater than what I have even invested. And
Can we go
financially,
into that? Let's go into the psychology of that a little bit, JR. So you're telling people that it's actually more beneficial to give money to get on stage, because you're not restricted usually as much, and at your table at the back for networking or for selling. So can you just walk us through a bit more of having an offer and what that looks like when you go up to serve? People come up to you and they actually want to connect with you because of your heart.
yeah. But anytime you speak and you get an opportunity, like even doing something like this, if I get on a podcast, if I go live on a video like this, if I'm speaking on an actual in-person event and on a stage, I always want to make sure that I'm going there and I'm delivering high value content where people are walking away saying, I want to know more about this guy. And that creates a big open door for more opportunities to be able to speak, engage, and grow your pipeline. And if you're that type of person that's saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to go up there and I just want to sell from the stage, that's great, but you're going to miss a big opportunity. And so when you go up there, what I like to say, being a servant leader, when you're a servant leader and you go up there and you serve the audience to the best of your capability, they're going to be more attracted to you and want to know more about you than they are about you just going out there and just trying to pitch and sell your products and services, what you're going to do. And so it creates and grows your pipeline that much greater. Now, I do agree, like having a call to action, but the call to action can be really simple, saying, hey, you know what, come find me afterwards and let's have a conversation, or here's a link to my social media, or here's a link to a free giveaway, a lead magnet, whatever that bribe is, whatever that lead magnet to get them into your CRM so you can follow up afterwards is going to be really key. We all heard the saying that the fortune is in the follow-up. So you're going to make more money on the follow-up than you will on the stage. So if you guys are just starting out in your speaking career or as a coach or whatever it may be, and you're saying, you know what, I'm really trying to get my name out there, you want to find places, find out where your ideal client is being served. So if you are in social media, go find places where people want to learn more about social media. If you guys are doing more business, find stuff about that. You got to go to the right audience. Don't just go speak somewhere just to speak. I mean, yes, it's great, but you want to make sure you're investing your time wisely on wherever that's at. And then make sure you serve them well and make sure you serve the host well. The better you can take care of your host, the more they're going to elevate you when they're even at the event on the stage. I can't tell you how many times the host goes up there and they're just raving about me. They're talking about me. They're saying how excited about, or they're talking about the talk that I just gave, or whatever it may be, versus some of the other speakers that didn't. Guess what? The host isn't talking about them as much. The host is more like just letting them go. They're done. And then they're not even engaging with the audience. I mean, my little secret, if you guys want to write this down, I always get to my event early and before I speak. And I make sure I have enough time to go around and talk to people in the audience before I get up on stage. And here's the reason why. Because when I go up on that stage, I want to call people in the audience out by name. And I want to say, hey, Amos, we were just talking about this, and this is how this method can actually help you with your business. Hey, JR, we talked about, you networking and you're struggling with this. Hey, Jennifer, we were just had a conversation about your social media and you're struggling. Because when you do that, then eyes start popping up and they start like, oh man, he remembered my name. That's something you got to get really good at. He remembered my name and he called me out and he gave me something valuable that could help me. So when you can do that, that has been my number one secret sauce every single time. Was I always make time beforehand to go and try to memorize 3 to 5 people, find things that I can take from them to extract into my talk that I can make it applicable to them during my presentation. And that gets the audience more engaged with who I am and what I'm saying. And I'll tell you, I'm really good at getting people to put pen on paper whenever I talk. And that's because I get the audience engaged. I give them call to actions and I tell them what to do. Hey guys, you're going to want to write this down. Make sure you get your pen and paper and put this note on your piece of paper. Write down PILE down the side. And I'm going to walk you through it. And people are writing it down. This is why it's important to you. This is why you need to know what you do. The first thing is going to be this. The second thing is this. And that way they're engaging with me the whole time. But when it comes to starting your speaking career, I want to also point out another thing. If people are not giving you the opportunity, you need to create your own opportunity. When I first started out doing business coaching and I moved to Northern Virginia, my network was zero. I knew no one. I had no network. No one knew me as a coach. No one knew me as a business person. They didn't even know me from online. I mean, other than being a personal trainer or a fitness coach, running PowerFit Bootcamp and all these different things. So the way that I started doing that and to create my own opportunities was I made a list. And I was like, okay, let me go to Google University. Let me go to LinkedIn. Let me find every single personal trainer, wellness coach, or whoever I can find in my area. And I made a list of minimum of 100 people, found their phone numbers, and just started there. And then I created an offer. What was my offer? You make your list, you create an offer. The offer for me at that time was I wanted to host a small workshop, it was a lunch and learn. It was a small workshop that I want to do, and I charged for it. So I made a list of about 100 people, personal trainers and nutritionists in the area. Then I found some space for $200 that I was able to rent out from 12 to 2 up in Northern Virginia, right outside of DC. And it was going to be a lunch and learn. And then the offer was I was going to sell it. I sold it for $97 per ticket for them to come for a 2-hour workshop to be able to do it. And I got 10 people signed up out of that 100 list, the 100 names. Well, the room that I got could only hold about 10 or 12 people max. And I was like, okay, for me to make sense, I need to have at least 10 people there. And I did this for practice for me too. Because I was like, I never stood up here to be able to teach on business concepts. And I was going through different things that can help them with their online business, talk about foundations and different things like that. So I made this list. I created the offer, which was going to be this lunch and learn. And then I followed up and called that entire list saying, hey, you know what? Hey, Amos, my name's JR. You don't know me from anywhere, but this is a little bit background on me. I'm hosting a 2-hour lunch and learn workshop on this day and this time. And I found you online. I would love to invite you there. Can I give you some more information? Absolutely. I got 10 people to pay me that. Well, that was $1,000. It cost me $200 to rent that space. And then I closed 2 of them on my coaching program. So I made a profit. And it was from that moment where light bulbs started clicking, like, oh, I got something out of this. And then I started duplicating that process. And now I create events all over the place and be able to do it. If you want to gain the attention of big speakers, other hosts, other big players, you got to give them the opportunity to be on your stage. So create a podcast, create opportunities for your events to have them come speak, to be able to serve in your audience. Because one of the fastest way to grow your network is by leveraging other people's networks. So if you can elevate someone else and you're giving them an opportunity to share their expertise, to be in front of your audience, they're going to look at you as the hero. They're going to be like, man, this guy is awesome. I would love to stay connected with them. And then they're going to want to, more than likely, they've always return the favor back to me. If every person that I've ever invited on a podcast as a guest, and they have a podcast themselves, they always invited me to be a guest at there. Every time I invited someone to be a speaker at my event, if they host an event, they always invited me to be a guest at their event. So it's one of those things that you scratch my back, I scratch yours. And, even for those events, I'm happy to pay for them, because if I'm investing in them, they're going to want to invest in me. And I have people that pay for almost every event that I do and that I host, because they know that I'm going to do the same thing for them. And plus, they're getting business from my network. I'm getting business from their network, and it's all helping each other in one community. And so you can't be scared to be able to invest in yourself to speak from a stage. And this mindset that people think is like, I only want to get paid to speak on stage, is an ego that you need to break free from and get out of your head. Because I've created bigger opportunities and more financially and a bigger ROI by paying to be on a stage than I ever did getting paid to speak. Being paid to speak is awesome, but I've made a bigger ROI outside of that.
I can concur with that because I know this group has grown fast because this last 8.5 months, I've just served people. You serve people and go, what can I give? It comes back to you. So amazing. That's powerful, JR. Let's move on to number two. Second
Yeah.
takeaway, we promise people.
Oh, you cut out. You're muted. You're muted.
There we go. It's in the description section, but basically I'll have to go and look at it. But you did a bounce back. Let's talk about that. You did a serious bounce back where you lost a lot financially. And in 4 months, you were able to have
Yeah.
more wealth in 4 months. Can you give us that? How many day plan was that? Is it a 90-day plan? What do you got?
Yeah, so it was about a 90-day plan that really helped me get there. I mean, essentially I started bouncing back really quick, but I made more in 4 months when I started figuring out the system and the process than I did, in 2 or 3 years of my other businesses. And it boiled down to a few different things. One, well, first off, let me take a step back. Most people usually fail in businesses due to two things. One is commitment, and two is lack of sacrifice. They're not willing to commit to the full process and do what it takes to get to where they want to go. Everyone wants an easy button to be able to get there. And two, they're not willing to sacrifice the things that it takes to be able to get there. Now, I'll just give you a quick overview of my story. Well, I made a really bad business decision. And when I had my boot camp business, I was cash flowing it the entire time up until the last year or two of me having it. And I actually took on debt. I was like, you know what? I want to take on debt. I want to expand a little bit faster, and I want to go and start another city. Well, I did that the exact day that the money hit my bank account. I had some pitfalls where my main manager in South Carolina ended up telling me that he's moving to California. He just got married, and he was with me for 3, 4, 5 years at that time. Phenomenal individual, great coach, great trainer, and I have a lot of respect for him. And I couldn't do anything about it, but and I really wasn't even worried at that time. I was like, okay, that's fine. We'll find another manager. Well, it was a lot harder to find good quality manager because when he left, I started bleeding quick. Like I couldn't keep up. Where I would end up being more than 70,000 and then 80,000, and then in less than 3 months, it put me more than $150,000 in debt, and I never had that much debt in my life. It almost destroyed my marriage. It was destroying me, and I just lost confidence and didn't know what to do. And it was really just taking over me, and I was like, man, what am I going to do? And so here's the other thing that people need to understand is sometimes we got to lose the ego and do things that aren't necessarily in our wheelhouse to be able to get to where we want to go. And for me, I was just starting out a family. We were just having our first kid. We were moving across the country. All these big life changing things all happened. I was shutting down the business. I'm $150,000 in debt, and I was like, how am I going to support my family? How am I going to do this? And so I took a sales position for a company while I was starting up my new businesses. I drove Uber 3 to 4 hours a day, and I was building 3 businesses on the side at the same time. So working a full-time sales position, driving Uber, and building 3 of my businesses at the same time just to pay off that debt. And I was able to pay all the $150,000. I paid that off in less than 18 months, and just with a lot of grit and drive and stuff like that. But one thing that really helped me get find my success that took me less than 4 months was this. When I was going on to learning how to build a business online, all I wanted to do is like make an extra $1,000, $2,000 a month. That's it. I wasn't looking for anything more. I didn't even think it was possible. I was like, okay, only like the rich and the few people ever make a lot of money online. Well, that was so far from the truth. And I ended up joining a mastermind. I was like, okay, let me join a mastermind, because I've had coaches before and they were transformative in my entire business. I always tell people that the number one thing that anyone needs to do when they start a business is have a coach, because they're going to tell things and see things that you'll never be able to know what you're missing out on. So I ended up signing up for this mastermind, went to an in-person event in Clearwater, Florida. And when I did that, there was about 200 to 300 people there. And I'm looking at them, I'm like, man, all these people are building an online coaching business, and they're doing $10, $20, $50,000, $100,000 a month online. And I'm talking to them. I'm like, gosh, I am way more educated, way more experienced than almost the majority of the people in this room. And so a lot of my failures of not getting to where I want to go was mainly due because of me. And so I had to really get out of my own head and really figure out and believe in myself that it was possible. So I committed to myself. I was like, you know what? I'm going to be the best person in this room. I'm going to make more money than every single person in this room. And I'm show them what to do. And I did that. And I did it less than 4 months. It was like 3.5 months that I ended up doing that. And it boiled down to me really, for one, gaining confidence. I first had to have the belief in myself that I was worth more than what I want to do. Second thing is I had to create an appealing offer that can help me get to my goal faster. Because if you're just creating, $20 items or even $100 items or even $300 or $500 items, it's going to take you a hell of a long time to be able to get to that financial goal. So I created a high ticket offer, and my offers was around $2,000, $5,000, $10,000, and now my offer is $50,000 to work with me. And so I ended up creating, my offer, which was around, I don't know the time, that was a long time ago, but let's just say it was $1,000 or even 5,000, and then I bumped up to 10,000. Well, once I started changing my offers, so first I had to change my belief and who I was. So I had to see what was possible, and I had to gain the confidence in myself and have the belief. The second thing was I had to have an irresistible offer that people were willing to pay for and that I was able to deliver. And then I had to change my message to make sure that it matched the offer and what I was selling in the first place. When I started doing that and changing those three things, my belief, my offer, and my message, my business started transforming like crazy. So inside this mastermind, I was leveraging there. I served them like you couldn't imagine. And going back to what we said is like, if you help more people get what they want, you're going to get what you want. And that, I think that was Zig Ziglar that said that. And that's so true. So when you go in there and you start serving people, I'm in this mastermind and I was always the first person to answer every question. People were thinking I was the coach in the group. And the coach started using my videos. I would make Loom videos on how to set up payment processing, how to set this funnel, how to do this, how to do that. And I was always the first person. Hey, you want to jump on a Zoom? Let's jump on a Zoom. And I started doing this. And then I would sell them on a funnel service or coaching business or whatever like that. And money was just pouring. It's like 5,000, 5,000, 5,000, 5,000, 5,000. And in less than 3 or 4 months, I was making more than $50,000+ a month really quick. But it boiled down to those three things. I could never have done it if I didn't change my belief in what I was worth. I never could have done it if I didn't have an appealing offer that can help me get to my goal faster. I knew what my time was worth, and then I couldn't go out there and just sell $100 items. I had to go out there and sell $2,000 and $5,000 items and $10,000 items to help me get there. And then I had to have the right message that was going to hook people in to want to ask more questions so that I can sell them on my high ticket service. So anyone that wants to be able to do it, you have to really think about those three things. You got to fix those three things. And then if you do, and you go out there and serve to full capacity, and you're committed and willing to sacrifice for a short period of time to be able to do it, you can bounce back and you can help you get to your goals faster. But the fastest way to success is through high ticket coaching or high ticket services. If you're selling lower ticket items, it's a lot harder to reach your goals than it is selling a higher ticket item.
And it sounds like serving and looking to give before you ask for anything is well, that was monumental to your success. Let's go into then, I lost my show notes. I deleted them by accident. Oops. So let's go into the third thing. So for people that are not speakers, JR, they're not speakers, but they're a coach. And let's say they're making $0 or they're making $1,000 a month. You've done this yourself. What is the quickest way? Now you touched on some of it, but can we really dial it in even further? What are they supposed to do? They're hearing your story. They're going, wow, JR. They want to clap and applaud, but they're like, JR, how do I believe it myself? Can you bring it even a more granular? What are they supposed to do right now? Next 30 days, what do they do?
Yeah. So if they're going to do something in the 30 days, one, you got to have a plan. So you got to first have that vision about where you're going to go. That always starts there. And then the second thing that I would definitely start reflecting on is who's in your influence? Who are the people you're surrounding yourself with? And are they encouraging you? Because you're going to be pulled back from those in your environment and those that are in your circle. And if you're not surrounding yourself around people that are big thinkers and doing things way better than you, you're never going to be able to surpass where you're at. So you have to surround yourself around big thinkers and where they're at. And then the next thing you got to do is you got to create a really good offer. Give me 1 second. You gotta have a really good offer. So when you're thinking about what it is, you got your vision and you got your environment, and you gotta have a good offer that's gonna help you reach your goals. So let's just say this: if your goal is you're at 0 and you're saying, you know what, I want to make $1,000, this month, or $2,000 or $5,000 this month. I always tell people to do this: make a list. start with your hot market. Who are the people that ever bought from you? If you don't have anyone that ever bought for you, who are the people that are paying attention to you, that you're having conversations with, that trust you, that already understand what you're able to do? So when you have that warm market, now you're going to create, that's your hot market. Now you get your warm market. Your warm market are the people that are following you, but they're not necessarily, you didn't have a conversation with them and they never bought from you. And then you got your cold market, are people that are just there. Create a list of at least 100 people. And then when I'm looking at that list, I'm saying, okay, out of all these people, how much money can I get from each one of them? It could be, you know what, I could probably get a bunch of people to spend $100. I can probably get a bunch of people to spend $500. I could probably get a bunch of people to spend $1,000. Whatever that number is, by you looking at that list, you're going to create an offer that's going to help you get to that goal. So if your goal is $5,000, let's just say I can get 5 people to spend $1,000 from that list. I can get 10 people to spend $500. I can get 20 people to spend $250. I'm going to make that offer of the 5,000 or the whatever that is, if it's $1,000, $250 or $500 offer, whatever that is. And then I'm going to say my goal is 5,000. I'm going to go out there and reach out to that entire list and try to sell them on this $250 offer, $500, $1,000 offer. So I do this almost every single month. Whenever I'm writing down my goals, I'm like, okay, what is my goal of what I want to achieve? And then I figure I was like, man, I really need to make an extra $5,000. How am I going to do this? Who's already buying from me? Who can I get to spend more money? Or who are the people that are on the fence? Or who are the people doing whatever? I'm going to reach out to them, look at that list, be like, okay, I know I could probably get $200 from these people, or $1,000 or $2,500. I mean, I'm doing that recently. I'm hosting the event. I'm having a speaker fee for my event in January. And guess what? Just in the past 2 days, I'm almost close to $25,000 from doing that, from this exact process that I'm doing right now. And it's understanding of what is that goal that you want to achieve, that vision, who's on that list, and how much money can I get from them, and how many people can I get to spend this amount of money to help me get to my goal faster. So if you're looking for quick cash, that's the best way to get to quick cash, and that's going to get you in the right mindset to start selling more.
Quick cash and a servant's heart sounds like. Okay,
100%.
so let's go into, before we wrap here, let's go into a Facebook thing, because there's something you say here that a lot of people need to hear, and they probably perhaps have not heard this. And so can you tell us about your approach, JR, to your front of house audience? Who's in your Facebook? Who's not in your Facebook? How do you treat that?
Man, this is one of my favorite things to talk about all the time. And I'm going to just keep it really simple for people. You have to look at all your social platforms as a stage. Okay. So I don't care if it's Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, wherever it may be. It's a stage. Every person in that audience is a seat in your, or every friend and every follower is a seat in your audience. Your job is to make sure you fill that every single seat with your ideal client. Point and blank. People, so this goes back to my exact thing that I was telling you earlier. People aren't willing to commit and they're not willing to sacrifice. Because the number one thing that people always say to me is like, well, I have my friends from high school or college that are on here, and I don't want them to see me selling. I don't want them seeing, what I talk about in business. Or they're saying, I have family on here that, they don't want to be talking about that. And that's what I'm saying. You're not willing to sacrifice. You're not bought into what you want to sell in the first place. You're not bought into the mission. You're not bought into the product that you're wanting to sell. Because I look at social media as business media, and I had to change my mindset on that as before I could do anything. It's business media, and every person that I have on there are people that I get to serve, and they're in my audience. So if they don't want to hear my message and they don't want to hear about what I want to be able to give and what pretty much support the mission that I'm on, guess what? Then they don't need to be on there. You have my cell phone, go call me, we could talk offline. But this is a place for me to serve. This is the place for me to really help people with the gifts that God has given me. And if you're not interested in seeing that, guess what? Then we don't need to be connected here on social media. It doesn't mean we can't be friends. We just don't need to be friends on here if you don't want to follow me. That's okay. But I'm here to serve every single person in that audience, because when I stand on this stage, I'm going to give you the best content. I'm going to give you the best advice and the best tools and tips that's going to help you start, build, and grow your business, whatever your mission, whatever your product service is. And if you don't start thinking like that and showing up that way, you're going to miss a lot of opportunity, because every piece of content that you ever produce needs to be purposeful, shareable, likable, and planned. And if it's not, then you shouldn't be posting it in the first place.
Let's go into that. Purposeful, shareable,
Purposeful,
likable, planned.
shareable, likable. Yep.
Can we go into why quick?
Yeah, so purposeful. If it doesn't have a purpose and it doesn't serve your audience well, then why are you going to be posting in the first place? I'm going to give some advice that is going to be unfavorable to probably a lot of people watching this, but I think that 80-20 rule is a bunch of bullshit. So excuse my language, but people are saying, well, you got to post, 80% personal and 20% business. And the reason why I'm going to call that out as bullshit is because I think it's people that are out there that don't really know what they're talking about, and they kept hearing other people talk about it. And so it just keeps rippling effect on what that is. But if you really understand who your perfect client is, like I understand you, Amos, from all your struggles, everything that you do, where you come from, your needs, your wants, your likes, your desires, the things that like you do for fun, what makes you tick, what doesn't make you tick. When you understand your perfect client so well, and the problems that they have, or the likes, the things that they like, guess what? Every piece of your content is going to serve you. And it doesn't make it about me. When I start posting things about me, it takes my message off of you and it makes it all about me, and then I'm self-serving. But when I start posting things that's all about you to serve you, and I understand the heart of what you want and the desires that you want, guess what? You're going to pay attention to me a lot more. So the 80-20 rule, like when I talk about being purposeful, shareable, likable, and planned, first off, if you're posting a picture of what you ate for a meal, you need to have a reason behind the meal that you're posting. Now, if you're a fitness trainer saying, hey, here's a healthy meal, we're talking about this, there's a purpose behind that. Great, go do that. Me as a business coach, if I'm going to post something healthy or I'm going to post a meal that I'm going to do, I could twist it a couple different ways and have a person saying, hey, you know what? I love the fruits of my labor of what I'm able to do and what God's blessed me with. And I can eat like this, a keen all the time. And if you guys want to learn how to do this, great. I can show you how you can do this and live the life that you want to have quality food. Great. I just made a purpose out of it. Fitness trainer, fitness coach, a business coach, whatever it may be. It doesn't matter. You can post things about your family and stuff, but as long as it has a purpose behind it. The other thing too is why it needs to be shareable and likable is because you want it to be content that people want to share with other people. Man, this message is awesome. I want to tell everyone about it. And you want it to be planned because you don't ever want to respond off of emotion, but you want to respond off logic. Because so many people, they just post because like, oh shit, my coach told me I had to post, so let me go out there and do some content. Or I was told that I need, I followed this video and they said that I got to post 2 or 3 times a day on social media, so let me go do it. But why are you doing that? All you're doing is going to hurt yourself because you may post something that isn't relevant to what your audience needs to hear. So understand who your perfect client is. The problem is what makes them tick. And when you do that and you create content that's relevant to them, that's purposeful, shareable, likable, and planned, you're going to gain more attention and gain more engagement. I can do any post right now, and I guarantee you I can get between 50 to 200 plus comments and likes within a couple hours based off of that, based off understanding my audience. Engagement is huge.
Well, thank you for being here, JR. Today for Tip of the Spear, we do Tip of the Spear once a week in the Academy, but once a month, maybe we'll be doing it in the main group here to let people know some of the stuff that's going on in the Academy. Appreciate you, JR, being here and delivering such value because you've been someone. So if you are someone who wants to be a speaker, but maybe you're just not sure exactly the next steps to take, please reach out to JR. He'd love to connect with you and serve you, give you real value. He'll jump on a phone with you and give you a game plan for how you can do that. If you're a coach that wants to know how to scale and how to start maybe from $0 or $1,000 and get up to 10 grand or more a month, like JR did, up to 50 a month, he'd love to have a call with you. Reach out to him. I'll be tagging him in this. Or if you're someone that struggled with a massive financial setback, whatever that is for you, JR would love to chat with you. Reach out to him because he'd like to tell you some of the things he's learned and help serve you. At Empower Network TV, we're here to serve you so that you can go and achieve your mission. Whatever it is that you're on the earth to do, we want to support that. So thank you, JR, for being here. Thanks for doing Tip of the Spear. Always a pleasure, sir.
I love it. Thank you so much for having me. And I look forward to coming back to you guys next week with some more training inside of the Academy.
Awesome. Thanks everyone for watching.